So in this video, I'm going to show how I added $116,285 in revenue in 30 days to an e-commerce Shopify brand. And how I did that is by using a database approach to develop and run significant split tests. And we're going to look at three things mainly here. But before we do that, I want to first introduce myself and say who I am. My name is Will Bather. I run CROEvolution, a CRO Split-testing agency for DTC E-commerce brands in the 7 to 8 figure range. And in the last year, I've run a lot of winning split tests that have added multiple six figures in revenue to those brands that I work with. And then the results of this case study. So the case study we're going to look at here will show the approach I used to add these six figures in revenue in 30 days to one of my clients' DTC brands. I achieved these results with my traffic optimization system, which I'm going to be covering further down the road in this video. It's a data-backed approach to run split tests that reliably increase CVR, AOV, and RPS. And it relieves the big main issues e-commerce brands face when scaling, and we're going to look at those two. But first, let's look here at this image. This is the test we've run. These are the results. This is the first test ever I've ran for this particular brand. As you can see, 21% increase in conversion rate from 0.27 to 0.34, 54% increase in revenue per site visitor from $7.30 to $11.30, 73% increase in profit per site visitor, and almost $900 increase in AOV. And yeah, as you can see, in that 30 days period, it generated $116,000. But yeah, let's go forward again here with the case study. So the three main issues I was talking about before, these issues, all of e-commerce brands suffer from these three main problems, and those three problems are the ad spend rabbit hole, ICP blindness, and no clear iterative path to compounding growth. Those are how I like to call them, and we're going to go through each of all of these three problems. The first one being the ad spend rabbit hole, which how I like to call it. So basically here, traffic means revenue, right? So more traffic means more revenue. If you remove offer and product from the equation, traffic is what drives revenue. So clearly, if we increase traffic, so we increase ad spend, we get more revenue. That's true, because traffic is king, and traffic is what drives revenue, but it's not how you want it to be. So if you increase ad spend, revenue does not go linearly up with it, obviously. Most brands just blindly increase their ad spend when they want to scale, but what decreases though is their profit margins. So they end up spending more, so spending more in ad spend, spending more in traffic, but they end up actually getting less in the process because they're not taking care of other aspects of the brand when they're scaling. So just increasing ad spend blindly, especially when you're starting to get to the 7, 8, and 9 figure marks, is not enough to drive up revenue consistently and how we want to drive it up. If you're just starting out, and if you are in the 5, 6 figures, mid 6 figures, yes, this works. You can just increase traffic blindly and then get more revenue in return. But if you are in those higher revenue marks, you need to start looking at also other pieces at the brand. So we increase ad spend, but we actually end up getting less profit, decreasing profit margins in the process. So this is a problem that needs to be solved, obviously. The second problem is ICP blindness. How you market products differ widely based on who you're selling to. So not knowing or researching your ICP hurts your brand badly for three main reasons. You don't know what they are in the market for. You don't know why they are in the market, what they're looking for. And you don't know what offers they buy the most or like the most. And obviously not knowing and not doing research on your ideal customer profile is incredibly hurting for your brand. You need to know who you're selling to be able to sell the proper thing. So removing the product from your equation, you need to be able to market the product differently for different segments of customers, and you need to offer that product in the proper way. If you're just throwing products around, hoping that someone buys, you're not doing it correctly. And this issue also goes into the first issue of increasing ad spend without looking at other moving pieces of the brand. And these two issues combined generate the third issue, which is having no clear iterative path to compounding growth. So most brands obviously suffer from the two previous issues, which bring us here to this third issue. And the issue here is growing an e-commerce brand to 8-9 figure levels means we need to have a somewhat clear path to scaling the brand. Obviously nothing is clear in business. There is a lot of ups and downs, but we need to at least have an idea, a somewhat clear direction of where to go to reliably and consistently grow the brand. And this needs to be without just blindly relying on ads, as I said before. Without destroying profit margins, we need to keep our profit margins up with a clear tested approach, possibly, so something that we know is iterative and it's going to consistently give us results. And those results need to be compounding, because when we start doing this at scale, compounding is what gets you to that scale. So compounding 10%, 15%, 20%, all of those things compound over the long term, over months and years. So yeah, we need that compounding aspects of the results, and not just one-off incredible results, but a compounding approach that can give us that scale to reach 8 and 9 figures. So how we're going to solve these three main issues? CRO solves all of these problems. So here I want to first preface this with saying I've never really liked the acronym CRO. I use it for marketing purposes because it's the term that everyone knows, but it stands for conversion rate optimization. But when I do optimization, I'm not just looking at conversion rate, which is arguably a vanity metric, because you can manipulate conversion rate in many different ways. We want to also increase RPS, revenue per site visitor, which is arguably the most important metric. We want to increase average order value. The end goal here is we want to get every order and every customer to be as valuable as possible for us, while also giving the most value possible for the customer, because let's not forget that we are growing brands here. We're not growing dropshipping stores, we're not growing random stores, we are growing brands. And that's why I created the term traffic optimization, which I think and I know fits much better this narrative of optimizing and testing your store to increase all of these metrics all together, and looking at the big picture, not just conversion rate. So let's go further with this. Let's do a case study breakdown. So we're going to see what did I do to achieve these results. So the $116,000 in additional revenue I mentioned before. What was the process of doing that, and how you can do the same if you run a DTC brand. So first step, what did I do to achieve these results? These are the results, as I mentioned before, from the first split test I've ever ran for this particular brand, and this split test was on the product page. This is the hypothesis here for this split test. The hypothesis was presenting the offer better could help us increase AOV and CVR. The reasoning behind this is there are many issues with how the offer is presented currently. Barely visible call to action, barely visible cross-sell, which is very relevant to the product, so it could help a lot our average order value. No social proof leverage. So there were a lot of issues with how that brand displayed their offer on the product page. And those here in the reasoning are some of the, not all, but some of the issues mentioned here. How we're going to implement the hypothesis by revamping the above the fold on the product page. That was the idea behind this hypothesis. And here down you can see this is just a piece of what we ended up revamping on the split test. As you can see on the left was the old cross-sell. It was a very small. The text was very small. It was hidden between a lot of other text, a lot of other things going on in the PDP. So it was not clearly visible. The checkbox was actually very small, so it was hard to click. And for this particular brand, the audience was more on the older side, so we need to make things clearer and bigger. And this on the right is how we ended up revamping that specific piece of the PDP. And as you can see, the difference is super clear. The only thing blurred here is the actual product. But as you can see, the cross-sell on the right is much more inviting, much easier to click, much easier to understand what you're actually adding. And it adds also what's the benefit of the cross-sell in relation to the product. On the left, it's just text telling you to add stuff to your cart, to your order. In the right, we're giving a reason for that, we're giving a benefit for that, and we're displaying clear feedback on click for the user. So as you can see, the checkbox is big and it's easily clickable. And this is a thing that a lot of that seems dumb, a lot of brands don't do, which is very important, which is to make the actions we want users to take as easy as possible to take. If we want users to add product to the cart, we'll need to make that add to cart button big and easily visible and clickable and have feedback on it. If we want customers to add a cross-sell to their order, we want the cross-sell to be easily visible, easily clickable, that has feedback on the click. So those are all things that you need to take care of when thinking about those things, which are very simple, very quick wins, but sadly a lot of brands don't do those. So this is one of the changes we end up revamping on the PDP, but there are also a lot of other things we added to that revamp. And then going forward with it, what was the process of coming up with those changes? So in the step before here, I showed you the hypothesis, the reasoning, what we revamped. But the question here is, how did I came to this hypothesis here? How did I went to actually go with this reasoning? Why? How did I found it? So all of these things are covered here in the second step, and what was the process of doing this. So this screenshot here is a screenshot of the process I use to come up with every split test, and the process I do, the process I follow from hypothesis generation to actually implementing the test, to getting the results from the test, and then to iterating back again to the first step, which is hypothesis building. I'm not going to go in depth with this here because there is a full video you can look at. I published on my YouTube. It's the video before this one on how to start CRO for 7-8 figure DTC brands, and this particular video here goes in depth on all of the 6 steps of the process, so you can go look at that video here. But this gets us into the third step, which is how you can do the same for your brand, obviously, if you're running a brand. The first step here is installing Intelligence. What is Intelligence? Intelligence is the A/B testing tool for Shopify we use to run the split test. So as you can see, if we go back here, this screenshot here, this dashboard here is from Intelligence, as you can see from the watermarks on the results. It's the best A/B testing tool there is on Shopify to run split tests, split URL tests, any kind of test you can think of, offer tests, price tests. We use Intelligence internally to run those tests for the brands we work with. So the first step would be installing Intelligence and getting accustomed to it. It's very simple to use. Following the step-by-step process I gave you in this video to come up with hypothesis and test ideas. So as I mentioned before, it's a 20-minute video, goes in depth on every step. You can follow that to come up with your first hypothesis and prioritize them. Third step would be designing and implementing the changes or offers if you're testing offer or prices on Shopify, and then starting the test, the actual test on Intelligence. And this here is my DFY traffic optimization system. So you can do this for yourself. You can replicate the same process by following the steps outlined here. But the issue is that most DTC brand owners I talk with, they're already working hard on the business, on growing the brand. They tell me they don't have time to dive into CRO and how it works, let alone actually implementing it. So there is a lot of, obviously, knowledge to be absorbed in the CRO fields. It changes very rapidly. They understand though how vital it is to grow consistently and to grow at the level of 8 and 9 figure brands. That's why I partner with them and implement my full system from A to Z. So every step of the process you saw above, to consistent and compounding growth, which includes research, coming up with hypothesis, prioritization, design and development, infrastructure setup, data tracking and analysis, and reporting. All of these steps are covered in the system I implement for my partner brands. And if you want to implement the same system for your brand and scale to the next figure, you can book a discovery call at CROEvolution.com. I will leave the link down below in the description. But if you're not ready for that, that's completely fine. You can follow me on my other platforms where I share my learnings and case studies. So in this case, my main account will be Twitter. This is where I post most of my learnings and case studies with other brands, and also my LinkedIn, which I just opened, which is very new. So I'm going to start posting there also. But yeah, you will find the most value here on these platforms and on my YouTube channel here. So if you want to see more of these kinds of videos and learn more about CRO and how you can implement it for your brand, you can subscribe to this channel. And yeah, see you for the next video.